this computer. Hey everyone, this is Morgan from the Institute of Internal Auditors. I am joined by 4 awesome people today. We collectively are the Institute of Internal Auditors Phoenix chapter. Phoenix chapter has over 900 members in internal audit throughout the Valley, and we have 5 members here today to talk about certification, what that means for students, what that means for your career, and what we might be looking for when we start hiring and recruiting new talent. So my name is Morgan Kroger. I have been in internal audit for 5 years, which is crazy, and I work for Ernst & Young.
My name is George Harris. I've been an internal auditor for almost 7 years now. I live in Phoenix for only about a year now. My wife and I moved from Vegas last year. I spent a few years auditing casinos up there in Vegas, and then moved down here to work for Charles Schwab last spring of 2019. And that is where I currently still work. Love Schwab. Certifications, I've got the Certified Internal Auditor designation, which is the CIA designation. You know, I would encourage any student watching this to really look into that certification during college, to be honest with you, because Part 3, for example, of the CIA focuses on many of the accounting concepts, IT concepts that you're actually sitting through classes right now, listening to lectures, doing projects for a guy like me who's 31 years old trying to study for CIA much later in his career, it was very difficult. So I'd actually encourage you, while you are in that academic mindset, to go ahead and study for the CIA. Oh, by the way, this is one of my dogs here. This is a rescue dog. My wife is a veterinarian. This dog's name is Lolita. We found her on the streets of Las Vegas, and we love her very much. Another certification that I've been interested in lately is the CRMA, which is the Certification in Risk Management Assurance. It'd probably be the next certification that personally I would seek. My undergraduate major at Mississippi State University was Risk Management, Insurance, and Financial Planning. Albeit that was 12 years ago, a long time ago. I do feel like the CRMA would tie back to that pretty well. I also have thought about the Certified Fraud Examiner, CFE certification. And I've only been an IT auditor. So my background is more of operational auditing. But in terms of IT, I've only been in IT audit for 15 months. And I know that a very popular certification is the CISA for IT audit, but that's one that I'm personally just not going to pursue as the next one. I'll probably just end up doing CRMA, but CISA, really good certification. Would recommend that heavily to you as a student. And just kind of the last thing, how I got into audit, pretty interesting story. So I worked for a finance company that did personal loans for people and also mortgages from 2010 to 2012 and 2010 to 2013. I'm forgetting my years here, back in Missouri. And I left that firm to go work at another firm that did just mortgages. I did not like originating mortgages only. I missed my time, working in a branch every single day. And so what happened was my first company that I worked with right out of college, the one I was just telling you about, the finance company, called me and said, George, we're expanding our internal audit department from 2 to 3 people. That's right. For the first time ever, they were hiring basically a third person to be an auditor. And at the time, the company had around 200 branches dispersed across 5 states. So the first few years of my audit career, I spent driving a company car, Buick LaCrosse, across Mississippi, Missouri, and Illinois. And that was a really fun time. So hope you've enjoyed hearing a little bit about my background and career today. And I definitely encourage you to look into internal audit. It can be a rewarding profession.
Perfect. Thanks, George. This is Kristen Smith, and I am Director of Internal Audit over at Norton LifeLock. I've been there for the past 2 years, and prior to that, I was at Insight Enterprises, both of them in Tempe, Arizona. I came out of college, went straight into KPMG in audit, so I've actually been doing some form or fashion of audit for the past 18 years, which is also shocking. And I won't go into too much, but I kind of went down the path of doing an internship straight out of college with a Big Four, and eventually leaving Big Four to work for one of the clients I worked on, which is a career path some people end up taking. I have my CPA, but I'll go ahead and let Jennifer talk a little bit about herself.
Thanks, Kristen. Hi, I'm Jennifer Radke. I have been in auditing itself for about 17 years. The first couple of years I was in external audit for government. And then a friend of mine reached out to me who her company was going public and had asked me to join their internal audit department. And I decided that might be interesting since SOX was, just invented at that time. And so SOX 4.4 was beginning implemented at their company. So I joined her team. With that, I've been in internal audit for about 15 years now, and it's something that I'm passionate about. I love learning about every department in our company, and it's something that I really enjoy doing. I have about 4 certifications. I have a CPA license, as well as a certified internal auditor license, and a certified fraud examiner, as well as a certified chartered global management accountant license. So with that, I'll turn it over to Reuben.
Hey, it's really good to spend some time with you. My name is Reuben Judd. I work for SRP. I've been there a little over 30 years. It seems like yesterday. And I would say that I kind of fell into internal auditing. I spent 4 years in an accounting area, and I worked next door to a guy, next cubicle over, who had what was called a CIA. And I was like, wow, what's that? It's a certified internal auditor. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know there was a career like that. Well, long story short, about 3 years later, when I left the company, I had an opportunity to become an IT auditor, which is to work with systems, because I love that. And, long story short, I thought I'd try it for a couple of years. Here I am still today. So, Jennifer said she's been in this for 17 years. I remember when I got to 17 years, I distinctly remember that year. And it was like, oh, man, I've been doing this a long time. Now I've been doing it. So we'll talk about more certifications. I know Morgan, I met her about, 5 years ago. And she was just starting out, I guess, but she's like going strong in internal audit. Once it gets in your blood, it's hard to get out of it. So.
Very true. Thanks, Reuben. I do have certification-wise. I have my CPA, I have my CFE, and I have my CISA, in that order, actually. So it took me about 18 months to get my CPA after lots of failures. Don't ever give up once you start failing, because it only teaches you more good things. But my career has transitioned more into technology audits, and so that has been my focus. And so I got my CISA, and that has taught me a lot of really good technical knowledge to be able to become a subject matter expert in those technology audits. My degree was in accounting, and I never thought that I would go into technology. You know how your mom's always like, oh, you're so good at technology. And you're like, don't ask me to help you. But that's where my career has gone. And so by being able to gain certifications, it's helped me build my career. I don't regret getting any of them. I might regret maybe spending 18 months on CPA, but that's okay. Each of the other tests have only taken me about 2 months-ish to study for and pass. Definitely helps to have some experience going into it. But like George said, I definitely would recommend studying as soon out of college as you can, because once you're in that mindset, it is like almost impossible to study now. I cannot imagine making the time to do it now when I have 8 million audit reports I'm trying to get out or learn new topics for my audits where I'm supposed to be a subject matter expert. So definitely study while you can. What do you guys think?
Well, I was gonna ask what the gold standard is. What do you guys think the gold standard is for internal audit certifications?
I mean, I think at one point it used to be the CPA across the board. That was just what you got. It was expected. If you went into Big Four, you absolutely had to get it eventually. So the other certifications, when I came out of college and into KPMG, I just didn't even know existed at the time and wasn't really interested in. I think stepping away from Big Four and going into internal audit in a public company, you do get exposure to other, CISA or CIA or, other types of things that I think are equally relevant today, because it's not all about having a CPA anymore, I feel like. And I would say that even when we're hiring, looking at, incoming new hires, either straight out of college or from other companies, it's not all about one particular certification or the other. We try and have well-rounded teams. So actually having a good balance of members on your team that carry different certifications actually brings, a lot of different perspectives. So you can have a CFE, a CIA, a CPA, and they're all going to have different, experiences and certifications and things to bring to the table when you're looking at things. So I think it's a little more evenly weighted, but I could be wrong. I only have CPA, so I guess I can't really speak to what I have, but what I see others come in with.
Yeah, I just remember, having to choose early on, but I was in an accounting area, so it was natural that I was going to get my CPA. But the CIA, like 4 years after I finally joined the internal audit group, I finally decided to take it, and I was kind of glad I waited. But I would say, to George's point, if you're a student, you get credit for your bachelor's degree. You get credit if you're getting a master's degree towards your experience. That's how much they value education. So out of the 5 years of experience, if you get your bachelor's degree, that takes care of 2 years. You get a master's degree, it takes care of another year. You only need 2 years of experience after that to get certified. So, I think it's a great point George made, let's work on this when we're in the classes and when it's fresh. So, but CIA has always been very helpful to me.
Correct. And I piggyback off that topic as well, but George, get it while you can, while you're fresh out of college, while you're used to studying before, you have a family and your time is taken up by work and your family. Also, it depends on what kind of skill set that you're interested in building for yourself. Take a look at that, and are you IT driven? There's the CISSP, there's the CISA, there's other certifications IT related. If you're more accounting driven and want to focus more on financial reporting, then work towards a CPA. If you do decide to do internal audit, then of course the certified internal audit, the CIA is more applicable. And nowadays too, with all of our audits that we do, every audit focuses, a small percentage on fraud as well. So your certified fraud examiner's license, your CFE, that's applicable. So it just depends on what you're interested in doing and what kind of auditor you want to be will help you drive what kind of certifications will fit for you. I have the 4 certifications currently. I want to be a little bit more well-rounded. So next I'm going to start looking at more of the IT certifications and look towards getting a CISA for myself.
That's awesome. I think it's important to remember too, like as a student, looking at it, it's so confusing and overwhelming, but there are different governing bodies. It's not just the AICPA. So you have the AICPA Correct. That gives your CPA. You have the Institute of Internal Auditors that gives the CIA. It gives like 5 other certifications that I should probably know, but don't know off the top of my head. ISACA gives out the CRISC, it gives out the CISA, more IT focused. And then your like ISSA or other organizations are going to give out like different specialties. So know that there isn't just like one option of which organization to get your certifications from, because there are so many. Like Kristen or like Jennifer was saying, be aware of what you want to go into and focus your certifications on that. When we hire people, we don't necessarily look for the CPA. We don't, in our field, we don't need that. And so we're more interested in, do you have technical knowledge in cybersecurity, or do you have technical knowledge in different kinds of accounting? And so that's more of what we look at, rather than like, do you just have the rubber stamp that everyone else has or is expected to have but doesn't really use? And so that's kind of how like we look at hiring at Ernst & Young for my practice specifically, not for across the board. But I think that that's helpful to know that there are different places that give out different certifications.
That's a good point, Morgan. And I was thinking that when we look at a candidate, I'll often ask them about internal auditing or about technology. I'll just ask them the simple question. I'll say, explain your aptitude for this and your interest. If you have an aptitude and an interest, then you can overcome all the rest of the barriers to getting into this field. If you have an aptitude, you're gonna learn, you're gonna do what it takes to master the content. And if you have the interest, there's no end to how much fulfillment you can get in this area. I was thinking about George, like you're 7 years into your career. What kinds of things have you seen that you said, I didn't ever think I was going to have that experience in my career?
Yeah, one was definitely just being an auditor, just in general. This is not where I saw my career ending up when I was in college from 04 to 09. Internal audit was not emphasized at Mississippi State University. The School of Accountancy was very well known, and getting your accountancy degree was encouraged and was definitely what the business school was known for at the time. But I do keep hearing that there has been a landscape shift at some colleges to actually have internal audit focused classes, which I of course think is a really good. I wish that I could have benefited from a class in college. What's helped me in my career is just, I leaned on a lot of people early on, not a lot, I was only with 2 other auditors to start with at that first audit job. So I leaned on those 2 guys a lot to get me trained in on basic cash controls auditing, checking for just compliance on a promissory note that the borrower signed where they were supposed to. Another certification that I wanted to mention today was the PMP, the Project Management Professional certification. Project audit is a subset of internal audit. What you do is you take a project that any given company is doing at any given time, and you basically audit the controls around the project itself. And that's actually the type of audit that I've spent most of my career here at Schwab auditing. And I think that that's been really interesting to see that emerge kind of as an emerging risk, project audits in general. So I think that you'll see a more increased maybe focus on possibly obtaining the PMP designation as well. That's what I meant to mention earlier.
I was thinking one thing that definitely you don't want to do is fall into the paradigm that audit is some sort of an IRS type career, some sort of a checkup on other people, some sort of a gotcha campaign. Audit is so much more advisory and consulting and how to help a manager do their job better. And it's collaborative, it's people oriented. I can't tell you how much psychology has helped me to interact and to help affect change in the organization that I work in. So definitely shift your mindset away from audits or these checkers that walk around and get people in trouble. That is not what we do in our career. So having those certifications just helps you be a better advisor. That's all it really does.
Well, thank you.
Correct, Reuben. Yeah, internal audit's more of a partnership with management and helping add value to each department that you're auditing. So I agree.
That's great. Well, thank you guys so much for your time and explaining the importance of certifications. Next week, we'll hop back on with, how we got to our careers in internal audit and why we decided we liked internal audit. So thank you guys so much for your time today, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys next time.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Thanks. Bye.